Hello everyone, welcome to Backend Bootcamp with Node.js Day 2. So on day 1 we created a very basic server and served our static front-end files from it along with some user data. Today we are going to talk about API, HTTP requests and how we can send our data from client to server. Then we'll move ahead and connect our MongoDB database to our Node application and complete the rest of our API. So moving ahead. So what's an API? An API is an interface or a point of communication between two programs or applications. For example, our client receives user data from the endpoint API slash version 1 slash user. So that's our API. As I told you, we need to communicate between programs. So HTTP is the protocol designed to enable the communication between clients and servers. HTTP works as a request response protocol. Let's talk about requests now. So HTTP requests are messages sent by a client to initiate an action on the server. These action in our case could be creating a user, updating a user, getting information of one or more users, maybe all of them, or maybe deleting a user. HTTP requests mainly consist of four parts: HTTP method, the URI, that is Uniform Resource Identifier, the request body, and the request headers. So the HTTP methods. HTTP methods are generally get, post, put, patch, delete. The HTTP methods signify the kind of action the request wants to perform on the resource. A GET request is used to get data. Similarly, a POST request means to send data over to the server. Patch and put are for updating the resource, and delete is for deleting an instance of the resource. URI, which stands for Uniform Resource Identifier, has the following parts: a base address, the version, the resource. There could be path parameters or query parameters. URI is the address of the resource we wish to access on the server. The host address or the base address is where the API is hosted. Generally, there is a keyword API to provide distinction between other paths from the host. Then there's this API version sometimes. It's a good practice to have because an API is mostly used by third party clients. So it's a good idea to work in versions to provide backward compatibility. For example, we have created a version 1 of an API and some third party client is using it, and now we wish to provide some upgrades to our services. So we really don't want to mess up with the version 1 that is already being used. So that's why we will create another version and work on that. The resource here is the users. This is we'll be accessing and providing and doing our operations upon. Following this is the path parameter. A path parameter is something which can be used as a variable. It is generally used as an identifier to specify an instance of the resource. Here it could be the ID of the user in our case. Then there are query parameters. These are also variables which we can access on the server side and use to pass data to the server. Generally, options regarding our query like the search query, the sorting order of results, number of max results, or maybe the page number in some cases. That is, the data which is not very sensitive is sent through query parameters or query string. Moving on, the request body. This is the major data that is sent by client to API. When data is sensitive or in a larger chunk, it's a good idea to send it over to the server using the request body. For our application, we will be using request body of type JSON. Although form data, raw text, XML, and many other formats are also supported. Headers. So a request header is used in a HTTP request to provide information about request context. This is basically metadata about our HTTP request, like what the kind of content it carries, like JSON, XML, its length, maybe authorization information like JWT token, bearer token, user password, its origin information, etc. Now let's quickly talk about Postman. Postman is a tool to test the APIs we build so that we don't need to create a client application first to test our API. So now let's use Postman to send over some data to our server by the methods we discussed earlier, that are path parameters, query parameters, request body. Let's see how we can access them on the server. So just in case you didn't watch yesterday's session, you can download the code we did yesterday from our repository. Here's the link. Just change the branch to day 2 starter, and here's our yesterday's code. I'll just download it. So I have opened the code in VS Code. To demonstrate how we can use the parameters and request body, I'm just going to edit this route here. The ID is going to be our path parameter. A path parameter is defined with a colon followed by its name. Then we can use it using request.params. I have changed this to post as we'll be making a post request. Use is generally used to handle all the HTTP methods, but if we are using a specific HTTP method, it's a good practice to specify it, otherwise it will match with others and cause troubles. So yeah. To access our path parameters, we'll use request.params. I'll be just logging these to show how we can access them, and we'll make use of these later. To access the query string, we are going to use request.query, and to access our request body we will use request.body. Now to use request.body we will have to use a middleware. This is how we use middlewares. The middleware we are going to use for this purpose is express.json. It helps to pass the JSON body and attaches it to this request.body object. Without this won't work. So now we will use Postman to make a request to this route, and let's see if it works. But first we need to run our server. As I've just downloaded it from GitHub, I will have to install the node modules again using npm i. Now that my node modules are installed, yes, the server is running on port 3005. Now we'll use Postman to create a request to this route. So here's how we specify the HTTP method. Here's where we have to enter the request URI or URL. As our API is hosted on localhost, I'll enter that. The port is 3005. API slash version users. Now 3 here is going to be our path parameter, which we can access through ID. And then let's pass in some query parameters as well. Let's call it page 5. It's just so that we can access these variables on the server side. To add body to your request, go to body tab, select raw, as we are going to send JSON body. If you have to send form data, you can select this. So I've added 2 key value pairs in request body. Let's send it over now. So our request has worked. Let's see what we got here. So as you can see, the request params is an object which contains ID. So if we have to access this ID now, we can use ID. Similarly, to access page and limit, we can use dot page or dot limit. Request body now contains name and text. So if we have to access any one of them, we can use it like this, or we could destructure them as well. These are basically JavaScript objects. Now let's talk about MongoDB. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database that's hosted on cloud, which makes it really easy for us to use as we don't need to set it up on our system. All we need to do is create an account with MongoDB Atlas and create a cluster. Later we can connect this cluster to our node application for accessing the database from it. Now let's talk about what a NoSQL database is and how is it different from a traditional SQL database. So in SQL databases, a database contains tables which contain rows which have fields that hold the data. On the other hand, in NoSQL databases like MongoDB databases comprise of collections which in turn have a number of documents. These documents have key value pairs where this data is stored. So if we had a SQL based database for our application, we would have something like this. Our data would have been stored in a row. But as we are storing our data in MongoDB, we can expect our data to look something like this. Moving on. Now let's talk about Mongoose. So Mongoose is a library which provides an additional layer of abstraction over our MongoDB database in our node application. Mongoose provides schema based solution to model our application data. By schema based, we mean that we can create a specific structure for our document. A model is then created based on this schema, which is later used for creating and querying documents. Let's now use it to give you a better understanding. So first of all, we need to connect our node application to MongoDB cluster. For that, we'll just go to MongoDB Atlas. And as you can see, I have already made a cluster. If you don't have a cluster, you can use the steps given in the document provided in the description below. So this is our connection string. Now I'll just create a .env file and type in db is equal to our connection string. I'll put in my password. And give our database a name. Save the file. Just so that we can see this in our compass as well. By the way, if you don't have compass, you can just select connect with MongoDB Compass and download it from here. Now it's time to connect our node application to MongoDB. So first we need to install Mongoose. As we have stored our connection string in .env file, we need to install one more package called .env. .env allows us to use environment variables from .env file. Once you have .env, just use .env.config, and that's it. Now first we need to get our connection string in a variable. We'll use process.env.db. After using .env.config, all the environment variables that we have declared in .env file are attached to the process.env object. Then we'll use mongoose.connect, pass in our construction, our connection string, and then we'll use some options. This function resolves as a promise, so we'll pass in a callback, and if it's successful, we log db connected. Now let's run our file and let's see if our database gets connected. Okay, so now our node application is connected to our MongoDB database. Now what we need to do is that, as you can see, all our code is in this one single file, which is not a very good practice, as it won't be manageable after writing a bit more. So we need to give our app a better structure. So I'm going to create a few folders. Our MongoDB models are going to go in the models folder. Our functions will be in controllers folder, and then we will map our routes to functions in the routes folder. Okay. So let's first define our MongoDB model. This is how we define a MongoDB schema. The properties that we will be using in our front end were name, phone, and company name. Just to demonstrate how we can use a nested object, now schema can also take in some options. I'm going to set timestamps to true, so this will tell us when the document was created. This will go here. Options are the second parameter. Now we'll export the model out of this file so that other files can use it. And we have successfully created our model. Now after creating our model, let's now quickly use it to import the users that are in our users.json into our database. So for that, I'll just create a script. I'm going to import the model we just created. And the data from our users.json. Just dot and dot config. Just like we connected our app before. I'm connecting this file because this is not going to run with our server. This is a separate script that I'm using to import my user data. After our application has connected, console that, and then we are going to use our model for the first time. And I'll just use user data. That's it. Now let's run our script. And that should do it. So now if we check, we have our users collection in our phone database. It has all 10 of our objects. So yeah, our data has been imported. Now let's write some functions to perform operations on our data. We'll start by importing our user model, which we will use to do the CRUD operations on our database. Then we'll write functions for the CRUD operations that are create, read, update, delete. The mongoose queries are asynchronous in nature, so we have to await them. After getting the results, we'll just send it in the response. Here I have sent a blank object. A blank object matches all the documents. If we have to provide some specific condition, it will go in here. This can be used as a filter object. Now we'll just quickly write the other functions as well. For using find by id, we are going to get our id in the path parameters. So as I told you, we will use path parameters like this. id is passed to this function, then we will get a result. As we are awaiting, we will have to use async here as well. Now when we want to create a user, we will send the data through the request body. $200 means an OK. Our create and read is done. Now I'll update the user. Also on the function. Just in case you wish to know more about these mongoose queries, you can always refer to the documentations. I will link them. In find by id and update, the first parameter is our id. The second parameter is the object which we use to update. Here we will use body, and it can take a third options object as well. I'm setting news to true. What this does is it will now return us the updated document. Similarly, we'll just delete the delete just takes a single parameter, that is the ID. And now we'll just export all of these. Now we will define the route and map our controller to each HTTP method basically. So for creating a router, we need to use express.router, import express. We need to import our controller functions. When we are providing an ID, we would probably want to get single user. A patch request would be generally to update a user. A delete request would be to delete a user. Now there might be certain requests that don't require an ID, that are for getting all users, which we will use for searching. Or for creating. Now I'll just export our user router. And import in our index.js. And for this route we will use user router. Start our server. Now if we do a get request, we should get all our results. What else we can do is we can create a patch request, and let's update this Shikhar Sharma with John Doe. I'll just copy and paste the document ID, and our body contains John Doe. Send it over. Now this document has been updated with the name John Doe. Additionally, we can create a new document. Give John Doe a phone. And this will be a post request. So a new document has also been created by the name of John Doe. Now if we get all the users, you'll see there are two John Does. One which we updated and another one which we created with the company hello. This one has been updated. And to delete, we can delete this John Doe that we created just now. And delete. Now if we get all the, we'll see that this document has been deleted. Now John Doe is gone. So our API is working as expected. What we can do more is to add our search functionality. We will use this query object. Let's say we want to search by name. I'll just add name. Now if we provide a search query, this will only return the name I've searched for. And we don't really need to return after meeting a user. And 204. We'll have to run our server again. just so it can support substring search as well. You can use the regex operator. Let's bring it out here. We are going to use the regex operator now. So MongoDB provides some operators that we can use to create special queries. Now, regex operator allows us to match a pattern instead of equating key values. So now any document that has a name in which there is a part which matches our search string will be matched and returned. So we are done for today. Tomorrow we will discuss about REST APIs, what they are, and then we will complete our application by using our API from our front end. Hello everyone, welcome to Backend Bootcamp Day 3. In the last session, we completed our API. Today, we are going to discuss what's our REST API and compare it with the API that we have built. Furthermore, we will be writing some front-end code to use our API on the front end. So without any delay, let's get started. REST, which stands for Representational State Transfer, is a way of creating a web API. It's a methodology about how you should structure your API. REST APIs are the most common web APIs. An API needs to fulfill certain conditions to qualify as a REST API. So here are the conditions required for an API to qualify as a REST API. The REST API should be separated into logical resources. In our case, we have only one resource and that's users. So our API qualifies this point. Each resource should be made accessible using structured resource-based URL. So the URL API slash version 1 slash users is a resource-based URL. It is a URL to a resource. For performing different actions on data, the web API should use the right HTTP method. We are using get to get the users, post to create a user, patch to update, and delete to delete a user. So far so good. Response should be in JSON format. We are returning the JSON data, so this point is also checked. API should be stateless. So by stateless we mean that our API doesn't have to remember our previous requests. For example, we are on page 5 and now we have to go on page 6, so we will ask the API about page 6 and not about next page. We should provide all the necessary information for API to give us the result. It should not have to calculate from our previous request. So yes, the API we have created is a REST API. Now let's connect our front end to our API. Now let's complete our front end code. So the code that we need to edit is in the file index.js in the public folder. As you can see, most of the functions are completely written, although we have to edit this code a bit and complete some functions like search, update and delete. So One thing that we need to edit here is that we need to use user dot underscore id, because the MongoDB uses underscore id as the variable to store the id. This user we will be getting from our database. Similarly here, now for using the search functionality, we need to provide the search query as a query parameter. Similarly, we'll create a patch request. We will pass the user ID as a path parameter, and the object as the second parameter of this patch function. The ID is stored in the data attribute of our buttons, which we get while generating it from the user. Similarly, we will create a delete request and just pass the ID as a path parameter. And that should be it. So now let's run our server and see if our front end is correctly connected and working. If we pass a blank search query, we will get all the results. Now I will search for these four letters and we will get the right user for it. Now I'm going to edit this user's phone number. So now it should be updated, and if we search again, the number is updated now. We can also delete this user. So the user is Chelsea, and now we are going to delete it. I've clicked on delete, and now if we search for him again, we will not get him. And if we see in all other users as well, Chelsea is nowhere to be found. It's been deleted. So that concludes the project for this bootcamp. As an exercise for yourself, you can try adding an add contact button to the front end and create its functionality by using the post route. Maybe you can add the feature to search by both name and company by using OR operator and creating a complex query for the MongoDB. Or maybe you can create a whole new CRUD application by yourself to brush up the concepts you learned during this bootcamp. Thank you.